Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello to our podcast listeners, and hello to anyone who happens to be on YouTube at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night. We are live streaming this one, so welcome. My name is Bez. It's been a hot minute, and we're glad to be back. I am joined by my erstwhile colleague, Mr. Cammy Wilson. Cammy, good evening. How are you?
In a minute, Bez. How are we, mate?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back in the booth. Feels like it has been quite some time. The clocks have changed. It's been sunny. We had a fantastic Women's Flag Football League final. And now the summer is here.
It's weird. Me and Max were doing sprints at a track session outdoors at 7:30, and it wasn't dark.
Wasn't dark?
Wasn't dark. Wild.
Yeah, just like, honestly, I think I was thinking about this earlier on, actually, and I think that maybe part of it is that in my head, the women's flag season always finishes in December. This year, obviously, it was extended.
Oh, yeah, subconsciously, we're probably just like...
In my head, like, there's still loads of winter to go. Because it's like, the December, it's dark, it's minging, it's grey, it's horrible. And then you've got ages to wait until the next season starts. But this year, it's been 2 weeks. Well, it wasn't even 2 weeks, you know, it was for some of the Division 1s, but for everyone, 12 games around the nation this
12
weekend.
game
days. Sorry,
12
way
games.
More than 12 games. 12 game days around the nation, up and down the country.
Mate, I am so excited for foot. Like, tell you what, I've had quite a hellish 2 weeks. In the past 2 weeks, 2 sets of cleats have broke on me. So, like, last Thursday, finished training, looked down at my shoes, and one of my favourite pair of boots as well, like, they're proper customised and stuff, like, they're precious to me. But, yeah, I was like, right, 1 week out from game day 1, and I have no pairs of cleats to wear. But, thankfully, our good friends at EP Sports and Joe managed to sort me out very quickly, and my new fancy white and gold boots will be arriving tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, do you know what it was? It was at the weekend there. A friend of the show, Chris Loudon Sr., Father Chris, as some may know him, was over in Germany. And he just so happened to stumble upon the Nuremberg Renegades.
Hell yeah.
So he sent us the link. They live stream games over there. And it just got me proper buzzing for the next month, man. I've got King Bowl coming up. We've got Celtic Bowl. We've got flag football as well and truly back, my friend.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. I haven't had a chance to talk about the WFFL.
No, not sorry. I just completely skipped over that. Excuse me.
No, it's quite all right. But yeah, we'll do that first. What a day that was. That
was so much fun. Like, just thank you to everyone that was there and made me and Bez feel very welcome. Like, obviously, like, total outsiders for the league, of course. But yeah, everyone was so hospitable and came up and said hi and wanted to know what we were doing. And then obviously getting to live stream it with such an incredible setup with Compara was so much fun, man.
It was a lot of fun. And yeah, huge shout out to the squad over at Compara. Like, they well and truly sorted us out. And, you know, in the build-up, there was kind of no question that they weren't going to answer for me whenever I came up with some mad, maybe we could try this, could we do this, what does this look like, you know, right down to, I think, the Wednesday, I was still like, hey, what if anytime you pressed a replay, it created like an Instagram reel for us? And they were like, well, could be done. Leave it with me. You know, it was that kind of thing. So it was really good for them. Hopefully it was a great advert for what they can do for the sport, and hopefully we'll get the chance to work together with them again sooner rather than later. So we will just see kind of how it goes. But yeah, over the course of the day, it was amazing. And it's very different to kind of how it was the first year that it was in Ravenscraig. And, you know, I'd certainly never stood on that balcony for that amount of time way back when, and kind of covered flag for that long, and we learned a lot, and we learned, you know, a year later we learned a lot. But I think, you know, looking back to that first one we did, we were up on the booth, you know, with some tech, and you know,
me behind the camera.
Was it you behind the camera the first year?
Me behind the camera.
And you know, yeah, it was like Greg and I and yourself, and a tree, and we were just trying really hard to make something good. And there was Marcus over, it was down at pitch level on pitch 2, doing exactly the same thing to give people like the opportunity to jump back through. And then you look at it this year, and like
Wild.
we had friends everywhere. We had obviously we had ourselves on like the big official live stream. Like Marcus was back, doing stuff on his First and 15 channel. Inside Britball were there, doing their bit. Girls of Gridiron were resharing stuff from pretty much everyone. Cart Touchdown were kicking about, doing their thing. And of course, the incredibly handsome, talented, and indomitable photographer that is Mr. Andy Keith. He was flying around taking amazing images. Rory McNair, Rory on the Whistle, to our Instagram tag friends. He was there. Like just the number of people that were there. And also, there was a lot of people from like the local kind of Scottish community were there just to watch the games.
Yeah, totally. Like some of my youth team were there.
Like, yeah, never mind like, kind of media coverage. Like people were just there to watch the games. The games were across the board, fantastic. Before a game had even kicked off, we managed to pick a fight with the Scottish Footballing Association. Like it was all go from minute number 1. And yeah, for the people that were in the arena for the final, like that's something that I don't think anyone's going to kind of forget for quite some time. It took me well over a week. It took me well over a week to come down from it. I think, and then obviously, like I saw your chat with Laura and Alice, and that was like equally
I think
kind of cool. And
I think I texted you on the Wednesday, and like I kind of had like the tingles that I got from finals last year, and it was quite something. It was incredible to be part of. Like, I loved it. I would do that again in a heartbeat, and I hope we do it again.
I hope we do. And like it's an opportunity that we certainly don't. Like I certainly don't take that opportunity lightly. Certainly don't assume that it's going to be us. The fact that it is fantastic. The fact that Kamhara last year loaned us a camera, and then this year we're just like, how about we just, we'll just
step it up.
We got it. We got this. Don't worry. So yeah, I mean, if we get the opportunity, I think the people that matter at BAFA, and like obviously certainly Alan, like they know that they don't have to shout very loudly for us to answer the call. So we'll see how it goes, and watch this space, I guess, for things coming up in the future. The quality of play from the first game,
like
so good.
Like talk about quality. Think of like the undefeated East Kilbride Pirates Black getting knocked off straight away. Like if you want high quality games, what more do you want than the number 1 seed in the North? Personally, I didn't really want it to happen, but getting knocked off by 2 scores, like it was wild. Again, talking about how we've advanced over the past few years, how the sport has grown and advanced over the past few years as well is incredible.
Agreed. And like game 1, pitch 1, like you say, 1 seed, 4 seed, in a lot of formats and a lot of previous years, you would have said that's a walk in the park for number 1. I did wonder on the day, like, is how much does that delay factor in? And I think a couple of us were in agreement on the sideline that the first half of those first 2 games was a little bit nervy, a little bit stunted, a little bit the offenses especially weren't really flowing as well as we would maybe have expected to them, both across the Panthers and the Giants.
Talk about
and then and the Flame and the Pirates, like that. I think both games were combined for a score at halftime. And then exploded the second half. Like, once everyone kind of settled down again.
It takes a massive toll on like mental preparation, being told that you've got
and fueling and like when
exactly
and like hydration, like it's crazy. And I was very impressed with the Flame.
Yeah, You got to watch that game. I didn't get to see it.
Yeah. So I was covering that game for our Instagram followers, and there was a moment where I kind of kept feeling that it was like they're one play away. There's a couple of balls hit hands and then in the ground, and a couple of incompletions and some like really good tackling from the Flame, just to like, you get the ball, great, but there's no space.
Yeah.
And you just felt there was a couple of deep shots that were just not quite hitting. You're like, if they get one of these, they're right
Another
back in
inch.
it. And they got
Another
one, right?
foot.
And they got one, and it pulled it back. And it was like, right, okay. Even though they're still down, it's now the Flame have to kind of hold serve, right?
Yeah.
And then they had a one play drive, like, to extend it back out again. And like their like resiliency there, because it was a partisan crowd. Like, there's no getting away from it. It was a home game for the Pirates. The crowd, vast majority of the crowd, were there to see one team win, and they really held their own. And it was a 2-score game in the end. The final score very much an insurance one for the Flame. They were up 8 or something with 40 seconds on the clock. Pirates loaded the line. Flame popped it over the top all the way. See you later. But yeah, little did we know that should have been the alarm bell. It was a bad day for the HNC. And as a podcast, the way we HNC it, every single HNC team was knocked out in the quarterfinals. So we did a lot more the way we MSC it for the rest of the day in the championship bracket. And yeah, but that was a brilliant game. I came away feeling, if that's a quarterfinal, today it's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
And little did we know at that point at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, little did we know what was going to happen later on. But that was a fantastic game, and I think the Flame, they would go on to finish third.
Yes.
Being knocked out by the Coventry Panthers, but then getting past the Leicester Huntsmen in the third, fourth playoff. They were fantastic all day. The Huntsman Titans game, I think beforehand we chatted on the show about Huntsman and Titans. Whoever pops off first will win that.
Yeah, whoever gets the early start.
Whoever flies up, and the Huntsman, they turned up. They turned up ready to go for that game.
Was Grace, their young player, was on, I seen a clip of her on a podcast somewhere, I think it was Tartan Touchdown, saying that a lot of teams were going to underestimate them. I think they kind of proved that quite comfortably when they came out the gates like that, so fair play to them.
Yeah, for sure. And like, a lot of their players are at GB camps at the moment and trialing, so like the only way is up for the Huntsman, right? Like, at one point they were just like buzzing to make the playoffs on the final day, and then they win their quarterfinal and they move on, and they finish fourth in the country. So like a stellar season for them.
Yeah.
And then
I was really, really impressed with their quarterback as well. Do apologise, I'm unfamiliar with the name, but I believe she's in and about GB Silver Women's, I think someone was telling me on the sideline. The way the ball comes out and the way she was reading the game was incredible. Like, Alan Mead is not an inexperienced coach, and she was tearing it apart. Every single time the ball was exactly where it needed to be, where she wanted it to be. So, hats off to them.
Yeah, you are talking about Jess Allen.
Thank you.
I think. And yeah, she was fantastic. Yeah, she had 21 passing touchdowns throughout the season. Charlotte Deere, who they split time with, she had 16. And then yeah, Beth Neely was the go-to target on offense for them throughout the season, and then obviously throughout the final day, and she was spectacular. Pirates would go on to win the plate in what became the HNC bracket. The Pirates would go on to win the plate. So they ended their year with a trophy. Obviously not the one that I think they would have wanted, but they won a trophy, and that set up the main event, Coventry Derby, and the national championship game, which, depending on who you ask, was either exactly what we didn't want. Basically, the people that were involved in the game, and the watching world Definitely did.
The single best game of flag football I have watched ever. Like, bold take, because I've pretty much watched every bit of flag football I can for the past 7 years, and that game was it was call and answer every single play.
Yeah. It was just always so tight. And so for some like backstage magic, I hadn't done my homework because I normally do, and I normally try and prepare for everything I can think of. And for some reason, at no point in the build up did I think overtime is a thing, right? Because
Yeah.
it never happens. Like, it's super rare that it happens. I think even in like the last time I can remember seeing it happen at a WFFL Finals day was a couple of years ago when it was the youths, and they did the halfway drive to win one of the trophy games, but it was sick because it was just before the national championship game. So
Yeah.
a lot of the adults had kind of started to move in. So yeah, I think the Cougars had the ball and were driving down 6, and then they just crossed halfway. And I suddenly stepped back and started like saying to Mark and the guys off screen, like, we need to know the overtime rules, because like I knew the overtime rules was there was the halfway was the goal, the kind of the halfway to goal. But I couldn't remember what the IFAF ruling was. For do you keep going at that, or do you, because the kids never, basically my only reference point of that in that moment in time was the kids from a couple of years ago, and the kids won it on 4th down. I think it was a 4th down interception to win the game in overtime. But yeah, halfway to score. If you're still tied, sudden death, extra point, which is class. So there you go, kids. Do your homework, and you won't have to flap on air and try and ask a referee who's definitely busy.
Agent Martha on the sidelines trying to help us out desperately.
So yeah, like, I can only apologize if there was confusion on that. We were as equally confused, but yeah, delighted that it was a tight game. Like, the noise when Grace caught the tying touchdown, because it was at the far end, and she caught the touchdown on a kind of a deep cross, and she was so, like, you could see it from our vantage point. You could see it as soon as she cut. It was like, Millie is going nowhere else with this ball.
Yeah.
It's too good. And then the drive back. Panthers played it, fairly
perfectly. Like, it was either score or kill the clock,
because it was like, don't lose the game here. If you could win it, cool, but do not lose the game here.
Yeah.
Overtime, and remain tied for that incredible extra point. And like, that route from Hannah, oh my god, I watched it back from, I think we've obviously got the big aerial shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was the guys at Tartan Touchdown had it from the corner. Andy's got the images, and like that, like, it was like the Cooper Cut double jerk route to be completely open in the middle. And I know you spoke about it with Alice last week, and she was just like, is this even fair?
The longest 2 seconds from that ball leaving her fingertips and into receiver's hands.
Like, watching it live, I actually didn't see the double move. Because we're trying to.
There's so much to try and process. Yeah,
we're trying to call it, and we're trying to see all 10 players, and I just saw her come open, and like,
it was almost slow mo. Like,
it was a beautiful route.
No idea how Alice felt, but like, for us, it was almost slow motion. Like, kind of looking like, has someone run onto the pitch? Why are they standing there completely uncovered?
It was a beautiful route, and like, from a defender's perspective,
nightmare.
Like, they were playing like the whole game when it was in that kind of situation. The Cougars defense were playing man to man outside with kind of a switch in the middle. I don't play corner anymore. Certainly have in the past, and like, 5 extra point man on the outside.
It's an offense,
as a defender. Like, you're giving a lot away.
It's like, this sport is very, like, especially extra points are very in favour of the offense. It is very difficult for the defense to actually impact and prevent. Lo and behold, Laura Carter didn't with their pat down the previous play, but like, XPs are designed for, like.
But she said, like, she only did that by like giving up her assignment.
Yeah.
So for like as good as that play was, if Millie sees that a half second earlier, we're
It's
potentially celebrating a very different team this year. They were celebrating a very rather than one national championship, it becomes 1-0 national championship. So like the margins are unbelievable. You know, I know that it. Well, I mean, I don't know. You know, sucks to lose a national championship game. Sorry,
thanks, Bess.
but I do hope that they process that. As
Yeah.
a fan, like it's amazing from both teams for the show, but also like for the Cougars, like the sport in this country is where it is essentially because of that club. They have packed out the national team. They've won an unprecedented amount of trophies. You know, the Panthers, in order to match their crosstown rivals, would have to win every title now between now and 2034. Like,
That's wild.
right? So the sport is where it is because of them, and I know that we all got very excited about the quest for 10, and like not sure I want to get in their way, particularly between 25 in the 25-26 season, because they will now have a point to prove. But for all they've done in the past decade, they deserve all the credit in the world, and to still be back where they are,
They're not going anywhere.
they ain't going anywhere. Like they're
no.
not going anywhere. And if you tie it all back into the national programs and where things are going, like Coach Jackie's assembled his brand new team for the World Games later in the year and the Euros. Like the sport is in a good spot.
On the way up, everything's coming up,
and I am very, very excited to see where it goes. Can we just have another? I know it's only April and they're not due back on until October, but like we could have another season, right? Like we could do that again. I could do that again. I could do that all again because it really was absolutely amazing. Yeah. So yeah,
it's you kind of getting excited talking about it again. You know, like I know we've fairly dragged this out. Like we had the interview with the Panthers girls week after, I believe,
like week off.
Week off, yeah, and then we're here now. Like I wasn't directly part of this winning team. Man, it feels good.
I think you were from halftime onwards, but
I've got a bus ticket to prove it, mate.
You do have a bus ticket to prove it. Yeah. So like so good. So good. And yeah, congratulations whether you made the playoffs, didn't make the playoffs, won a national championship, or won your first game in 8 years. Shout out University of Nottingham Green. Then it was an incredible season to cover, it was an incredible season to follow, it was an incredible season to be a fan of. So congratulations to all of you guys, and can't wait to run it back next year and potentially see even more teams join in the league.
Something I'm quite excited about. Like I joined this podcast more than halfway through the season. So see, I spent a lot of time looking at East Kilbride. I helped referee some of their games, but see, actually getting to look at like the massive picture instead of just what's happening up here. I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. So we'll be back. We'll be back next year for the return of the Women's Flag Football League. Now, as we alluded to earlier, 12 game days nationwide. The National Flag Football League is back with a bang this week. Up and down the country, new teams, old teams, returning favourites, national championships, division championships, a new format on the line for 2026. 2025 season is shaping up to be like something we have not seen in quite some time.
Feels like there's a lot more on the line this year. Like, don't get me wrong, gold's always the goal. Everybody always wants a national championship. But see, with the element of being in the new division for the first time, being dangled in front of you, that's quite exciting. Quite looking forward to this.
Yeah, agreed. And also, like, if you are, I think it probably depends on like where you, like, if you're not going to be like if you're a Premiership playoff team, right? That means that like there's now a battle for, like if you're scraping into Div 1 playoffs, you're potentially going to be in that like middle bracket, that middle division rather than the third tier. So like there's stuff going on all over the show. So yeah, very, very excited to see how it goes. And there is indeed an awful lot going on. So as it is the first week of Premier League, and we are the way we HNC it, we'll start with the Premier League.
Surprise, surprise.
We'll start with the Highland Division and some big games just to start. Some rivalries renewed, and of course, some fresh faces in the division as we welcome the Grangemouth Colts and the West Lothian Chargers.
Feels very, very weird saying that, considering we were watching for their first win, what, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, around the pandemic.
That's wild. And I'm really happy that they're up. Like,
unbelievable, right? Like, massively expanding club. Maybe bonus, maybe second team some point in the future. Like, yeah, obviously like a season, like Cinderella season last year, and then yeah, Premier League. Welcome to
wild.
big leagues. Welcome to the big leagues, and you are going to start the Chargers off with 2 playoff teams from last year. Welcome to the big leagues. This happened to Murray. This happened to Murray last year. Murray popped up, and we were immediately given the Hornets and the Broncos. No, were they the?
I think we did.
Were they? They were the Broncos. They were the Broncos and the Hellcats on week 1.
Yeah. I can't remember if we played them in.
I can't remember if you played them in Keith or not.
I think we did play them.
Maybe you did play them in Keith. You played the Broncos because that was a tie game.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always the newly promoted team gets a
baptism of fire.
Gets a NAF schedule. Trees Colts, they get their big brothers and sisters in the Broncos and also the Hornets. So yeah, week 1 hosted by Grangemouth, so at least they don't have far to go. Game of the week in this one, Cammy.
The staple of every week 1 in the HNC for now the past 3 years, Hornets Broncos.
Yes, classic.
I don't know why the schedule makers keep doing this to us. But
to be fair, at least you're not playing them week 1 and week 2 this year.
Yeah, well, we've got some.
That's been the bone of contention for the last little while.
Obviously, we drew with them in the first game last season, 26-all, in a very windy heath.
It's a weird game.
Was a weird game. One of the silliest flag football plays I've ever seen in my life, where Sarah Wakeland had Nicky spinning round in a circle, so Nicky just decides to throw the ball over his head, and Joe somehow gets a first down from it. But anyway, yeah, Hornets Broncos, 100%. That sets the tone for the season on how both of probably the 2 biggest teams from the past 5 years in the division are going to set out. So always a tough one.
Almost every year since every Premiership season.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you got your eyes on anything?
All Cats Outlaws. I'm going All Cats Outlaws. I think that game is a particularly interesting one because last year the Outlaws obviously put together their season for the ages. Like they
were statistically the second best team in the HN.
They took big wins during the regular season. They obviously played the gauntlet, the grueling 5 games on finals day to make the plate final, winning their quarter final, the first playoff game at the Premiership level that they've won. But the All Cats swept them last year, which was weird, given how it all shook out in the end.
Yeah.
So I think that one's interesting. Don't know much about availability for anyone in the Premiership this weekend. So we'll see, but that's one that I think people should keep an eye on because, like you say, potentially sets up the season going forward for both those teams. I think that could be quite a fun. We've expanded. It's been the big 3 for a while. We've definitely expanded to the big 4 now, so that could be quite a tidy battle because either of those teams, like as I've been saying for years, until proven otherwise, it's the Hornets division. They will win the division, but 2 to 4.
Oh,
2 to 4. Do what you want, right? 2 to 4. Roll the dice.
Edinburgh beat Grangemouth twice last season, or was it just once?
Just once. So Edinburgh beat
just once through the regular season and once in the playoffs. Yeah, like you.
So but then they also.
It's almost like a round robin.
They also beat the Manchester Titans.
Yeah, like it's so yeah. Aberdeen beat the Outlaws.
Aberdeen
Outlaws
beat the
beat the
Outlaws twice,
Broncos.
but Aberdeen beat the
It's,
Outlaws twice. The Broncos and Outlaws split the season. The Broncos beat Aberdeen
yeah.
twice. Outlaws beat the Titans. The Titans beat the Oil Cats. Not sure what happened in the Broncos Titans game. Can't remember. I wasn't there. But like
Chaos.
It was chaotic. It was chaotic,
Chaos.
and I think at the end of the year, all those three teams were like they were separated by tiebreaks, or they were separated by like a half game here and there.
It was something like that. It was wild.
So I think those two games, are pretty well set up. Going forward, what else have we got going on down south? North week 1, I feel like is a kind of setup week.
Yeah.
I don't really have a game of the week, but we're not getting the Manchester derby. I think like the Giants, they were pretty, they were confident in themselves that they were kind of, the class of their division last year. They were promoted. I think they probably have the self-belief that they're going to be in the mix this year. Blackhawks probably the same.
Blackhawk. I'm really looking forward to see how the Blackhawks do with their new additions this season.
You're buying Blackhawk stock this year?
I'm not sure if they're going to be able to take on the Giants. Sorry, as in the Giants of that, as in like the Manchester's.
The teams.
Yeah, not the actual. I believe that they'll be able to take on the Sheffield Giants, yes. I don't think the players that they've got are experienced enough in the league to make a full run, but they've got a lot of talent. Like the guys that came up for
Bandits, Blackhawks, Giants is like such a good. Like I could order that almost any way and be able to explain myself. If I made a prediction, you could put third place in the division down. Now, is third place in that division going to be good enough to make the playoffs? I don't know, because if you are saying that, it means you're saying that one of Aberdeen, Glasgow, Grangemouth, Edinburgh aren't making it. So
doing bull takes early on.
So
do you know what? I'm going to back my Blackhawks. I think they're going to be able to sneak a win.
Third in the division.
Yeah. I'm going to take them, and I think they're actually going to get some cross-conference surprises as well. Yeah.
South A, London versus London, ×3. You're welcome. It's an annual classic. As long as that division stays the way it is, it will continue to do so.
I'm not sure we could even get any. Probably could, but yeah, like. I mean,
if the Rebels B were promoted, then you could have an extra one at the expense of either Chichester or Reading. But that seems unlikely.
Devils versus Smoke.
Devils versus Smoke.
Devils have been knocking on the door for a while now, but the Smoke is an ever-evolving beast. They'd be very surprised if they've not pulled some new additions up from their feeder teams. But like the Devils have just got better and better and better and better and better as it's gone on. And beating Cardiff through the season last season, I don't know. I'd like an would we even call it an upset? I don't know.
I would call that an upset.
Yeah, the 4th seed taking on the 3rd seed.
I don't mean it to be, like disrespectful to Reading. Until proven otherwise, the London Smoke run this division. Prove it.
It's number 4 from last year versus number 3 from last year. So it's like
this has always been my thing. Prove it.
But yeah, the Devils, like, if they more and more GB talent coming out, more and more GB camps, and obviously the Smoke guys out the GB camps too, but I think that kind of speaks that they're on somewhat similar levels, so I'd like to see the Devils come out and do some damage.
I think the other one I put in was the Rebels and the Fire, so I'm making an assumption here, because I've not spoken to anyone, been down there for a while, that the Fire are the second team. Obviously it's a rebrand of the Flash. Rebels, if they want
Tabor taking on his own team, his own team.
Not even that. It's just, well, I mean, I guess it is that, but like that happened last year. It's more just like if they want to make a run, these are the games they need to start winning.
Yeah,
they've done a lot of recruiting, done a lot of social media chat. So these are the games you need to win now. So the Rebels, they've got the Fire and the Spark. If they're not 2-0, that's a bad day at the office, isn't it?
Yeah.
It would be nice to see a Rebels uniform return to finals. So we'll see how they go. Last year it was all about survival. I think this year they'll be they should really be looking to knock on that door. South B will have something to say about that. One commenter, on our Instagram, on our Facebook earlier on. I did check. It pointed something out to me, which is correct. Hurricanes versus Hammerheads to start the game day will be the first Welsh derby in Premiership history.
Wow.
So, which is quite cool. A little bit of
Swansea versus Cardiff as well.
A little bit of history there. Cardiff coming off, obviously, a national championship game appearance. No other new teams in this division.
No, Cardiff have had a lot of movement. I'm not sure if you've seen the team list that they've published out. There's some big names in there. Obviously, they've lost Costas as well, which is a heartache to me.
A blow.
Yes, I love Costas. Incredible human, incredible football player.
And a great guy.
Yeah. Game of the week for me, actually, is Hammerheads versus Tunes. Ash Lewis taking on his old squad.
Oh, yeah. Turning up the Tunes against his old squad. Here we go. Do love that, a little bit of rivalry. I've gone the Coventry Derby, Panthers and the Phoenix, just because this game was quite important last year in the kind of don't get relegated battle. Probably less important to that this year, given the structure changes, but I still think that this is a good early season test for how both of these teams are going to go. And Hammerheads take on the Hurricanes, the Phoenix and the Neptunes. Hammerheads overjoyed, probably at 2-1 in that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I
1-2.
know they've been.
2's not the end of the world either for the Hammerheads.
They've been top of the Prem in the UK. Sorry, Div 1 in the UK for the past few years. Like obviously the relegation that they past 3 years.
Finals in a row.
And there was the heartache a couple of seasons ago with not getting promoted. So finally getting promoted, I feel like they need to come out and actually do what they said they've been going to do for the past few seasons. So pressure's on them, but I think Harley and his boys can turn up.
He's something else.
Harley, he's a good dude.
He's something else.
A good football player.
He is a very good football player. Like, there was I refereed their semi-final against BPP last year, and they didn't even look hard for him, you know.
For VPP.
I mean, to be fair, VPP were last year's like on a run, right? They were very nearly the Hammerheads of years past, where they started playing much earlier in the day and went the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there was, I can't remember the catch. I can't remember who made the catch. The Hammerheads will know. They will tell me later on. There was a throw across the middle. There was a one-handed catch for the touchdown, and the player that caught it, I think it was their dad, was recording the game and was so excited he actually completely missed it in the frame. So there's no record of it, right? Like, no. There's no record of it, but trust me, I was there as a referee, and I did the like, you know, like when you're refereeing someone does something nuts and you're just like shaking your head.
Yeah.
Your hands go up.
Like,
it was one
you
of them.
Can't say anything, but you want to.
It was just like, you're looking at the defenders who are looking at their own sideline, just like, what more do you want us to do, guys? And like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, I think the Prem is well and truly back. I'm very, very excited to see where it goes. In Division 1, there are 8 game days, 4 on each day. Obviously, alongside the Premier League, we will do our best to get the scores out as and when they come in. But obviously, please be aware that it's a lot. So we'll get.
There are a few of us, and there is lots of games.
We'll get them out when we can, and obviously we'll be playing as well. But there were a couple of games that I was thinking about.
We finished South. Let's make our way back up.
Oh God. Okay. I was going to go Saturday and Sunday because that's how I've written them down.
Okay. Well, yours makes more chronological sense. We'll do that.
Right. Saturday. Said this last time. Right. Quarterfinals are bust for my boys in Norwich. Boys and girls. Sorry.
Just the Nomads.
I have bought an unhealthy amount of Nomad stock this year. So, Nomads, Longhorns Black. I think that is
tasty game.
That's the game to keep an eye on for me in the Midlands. Both of those teams had a great week 1 because obviously it's week 2 in the Midlands division. I think that's the game.
I like it.
it's a good a good marker to get thrown down.
I'm really excited about the Nomads as well. Like I know you've been a lot more public about your opinions with them, and all I've really said is that I like their strips. But I'm intrigued to see what they can do. There's a lot of experienced heads, so I wouldn't expect them to be coming short anyway. Quarterfinals are bust.
Quarterfinals are bust. That's it. Yeah, what else is going on? There's a fantastic one I think it's on Sunday though, in the South West, where we have the Somerset Wyverns and the Plymouth Bolts.
Up in the Southwest, 2 rookie teams.
2 brand new rookie teams from the Southwest. I know obviously that there's the Exeter Falcons there down there as well, so we're getting a nice little hotbed of flag football in the Southwest. The Keynsham Kings are down there too, obviously, with the Gators and the Coyotes from Wales, and the Hammerheads Frenzy to round out that division. Yeah, no idea about who, what, where, or anything. Just 2 completely brand new teams playing against each other. They're not, like feeder teams. They're just new clubs entering the National League.
Total blind gamble. Who have you got? Who's coming out? The Wyverns, or is it the Storm? Did you say Plymouth Storm?
The Plymouth Bolts.
Bolts. Sorry, not the Storm. The Storm's Cardiff. Talking
Or
nonsense.
maybe the Wyverns. Oh no, the Wyverns aren't playing the Bolts. Damn it.
They're not? Yeah, they are.
Oh yeah, down the bottom. Yeah, Bolts versus Wyverns. Yeah, sorry, I second guess myself there. I'm on the Bolts.
I am now a fan of the Wyverns. So
yeah, go for it. I'm on the Bolts. Don't know why. Other than I know that it's a dragon versus a lighthouse, and the battle of the logos, or well, I guess it's a wyvern versus Chris Nicholas, who you'll know from
friend of the show,
and playing Aberdeen, and friend of the show. He was our borderline Chris Kamara last year at the WFFL. He is from Plymouth, and apparently the logo, the lighthouse on the logo, is like a specific. It's like a thing. It's like the local. It's like a thing. So, yeah.
I was chatting to Chris today, actually.
Go Plymouth Bolts. I guess. But yeah, that's quite cool. And then obviously, if we finish where we started in the Highland Division, 1 for you and 1 for me. Game 1 on the docket. The absolute iconic battle of Division 1. The Glasgow Killer Bees versus the Aberdeen Silvercats.
First game of flag football I ever played.
And it has been pretty much, I think, the first game of the season as long as there's been a Division 1, basically.
Yeah, it's a classic.
So, the because the Killer Bees did have a year in the Prem. I was going to say the only 2 teams that have played every season.
Yes,
But not quite. I guess Silvercats the only team that played every Division 1 season. Everyone else is either new or has had a bounce up.
Yeah, Killer Bees last season done a lot of rotation and development and working on the newer people, and those new people are now experienced. They've got a season under the belt, so
feeling good.
I'm favouring my home team. Yeah, trust my boys and girls to come up and get it done, but they've got a lot further travel than Silvers do.
They do. Basically a home game for the Silvers.
As close to a home game as you will get without it being a home game.
So, yeah, I think they were very, like you want to see your mates do well, but they were also like happy for Murray to come back down, if that makes sense. Like, we're cool with it. But, go well, guys. But if you come back down, don't worry. We're also chill with the easier drive to open the season. So, yeah, I think that's a good one for me. Obviously, the chicken was unveiled a little while ago.
Chicken of shame.
The chicken of shame, the chicken of judgment. It was quite funny, the responses to that, because
I didn't even know what it was.
You didn't know what it was, and you weren't the only one that didn't know what it was. And for those that do know, obviously, it's important, ladies and gentlemen, to know your history. Chicken of Judgment was, we stand on the shoulders of the giants that came before us, and I believe it was John Hill, Blackhawks player, and Pulling the Flag contributor for a long time. They used to post the chicken when a team forfeited their scheduling obligations along with the team. So, brought him back. He's been in retirement for a little while, but brought him back. So shout out to the guys for creating such an iconic bit of flag footballing history, because the amount of responses that we got that were like, Holy moly. I have not seen this dude in a long time, but you still know what it means. So
Do
yeah,
you know,
the
I
chicken is
hate
back.
myself for even bringing this up, but I know a lot of my youth team listen to this, and they hit me with a young person saying, and it made me feel so old last week.
God.
Niche lore,
Niche lore.
and that's
Yeah,
exactly
lores.
what this is. And they'd be
Yeah.
very disappointed if I didn't bring it up. So
Yeah, niche lore. So yeah, the chicken is back.
I'm so old.
The
Sorry.
chicken is here to stay. So unfortunately, the Clyde Comets have had to withdraw from week 1. So the game day at Murray will be truncated. The games are starting later. It will allow everyone from the south to get their beauty sleep before they drive up the road. No further comment, Your Honour.
I'm about to cast a fishing rod out, Ben.
No further comment from me. But yeah, so that's a pity that we're not going to get the full slate of games, but there's still a lot of good ones to look forward to. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
It's a whip round. Can't cover every game, can't cover every division, but solid whip round, and we'll see the scores come in later over the weekend and get everything shared as much as we can.
The HNC is back, my friend.
Yes, it is. HNC is back. The NFFL is back. Mixed Flag League is back, and or at least until Friday, the sun is well and truly back. So whatever you are doing for the rest of the week, we hope you enjoy it. We will catch you at a game day very soon. If you are around, come and say hello. And I think that's all we've got time. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to everyone that's joined us on YouTube for the first time. We'll maybe do this again. It was a bit of a test event. Maybe see if maybe we'll advertise it another time.
May actually let people know instead of just randomly at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday jumping on live on YouTube.
Hey, we needed to test it. We did test it. It's been pretty easy. So we'll maybe do it again. You can join us live. So thank you very much, everyone. That is all we have time for. It is good night from Cammy.
Good night.
And it is good night from me. That is the way we HNC it.